Hi, everybody. Welcome to Dan on Sports. Well, Baseball Commissioner Rob Manfred is finally addressing what I think is a huge topic when it comes to Major League Baseball salaries, and that's these deferrals on salaries. Apparently, the commissioner really talked about it at length in an interview with Chris O'Gorman, who is the host of Questions for Cancer Research. He has a podcast by that name, and Commissioner Manfred was the guest, and they covered a lot of topics, including salary deferrals, which is one of my biggest complaints as far as Major League Baseball is concerned right now. As an example, the Los Angeles Dodgers have close to $1 billion in deferred salaries. Shohei Ohtani's contract being the biggest, where he signed this, $700 million contract with the Dodgers, of which $680 million of the contract is deferred. And he's only getting paid $2 million a year through, 2034. By that time, he retires and, incidentally, perhaps moves back to Japan and is not subjected to the huge taxes that people have to pay on income in California. He won't be subjected to that. And the Dodgers get away, as far as the competitive balance tax is concerned, by not paying as much because maybe they don't go as far over the threshold. And so they don't have to give these other teams as much money as if Ohtani was paid up front. And they did the same thing with Blake Snell. Something like half of his contract is deferred. It's becoming a major, major issue, and the commissioner addressed that issue in his interview with O'Gorman. Now, he's concerned. He should be concerned. Baseball is concerned. And it's not just the Dodgers. I don't mean to be singling out the Dodgers here. The Mets have done it, although they did not do it with the Juan Soto contract. All that money is going to be paid up front. He gets a bonus, a $75 million bonus up front, and he'll obviously get a tax break from New York State because of that bonus, as opposed to the contract being divided up evenly over the 15 years of its length. But still, the Dodgers have been very good at paying out these deferred contracts. And like I said, it's not just the Dodgers. The Mets have done it with other players. Does Bobby Bonilla come to mind? He gets paid, I think, on the 1st of July. It's become known as Bobby Bonilla Day. $1 million from the Mets, and has been for years. I think the contract, the last payment, finally is due in the year 2039, a year before Soto's contract runs out. But this is an issue which has to be addressed. And it's an issue that's negotiated with the Players Association. In other words, the owners can't unilaterally say, we're going to end these deferred contracts. And it's the players who don't want to see these contract deferrals end. It benefits the players to no end, as we mentioned, in regards to the income tax situation, these state income taxes, where particularly the players in California, where the income tax rate is very high, catch a break if a good portion of their contract is deferred. And I think it's just going to throw, again, the whole system out of whack, because you've got these rich teams like the Dodgers who have no problem meeting payroll, then signing these players to big contracts which are deferred. And again, they avoid the CBT. They don't get as big of a hit from the CBT. Players Association insists that contract deferrals remain in place. And the current agreement between the owners and the Players Association does not expire until December 2026. So we still have 2 seasons to run on that. My goodness, didn't they just negotiate a contract? It seems that way, doesn't it? But nevertheless, the commissioner is concerned, and he gave a great example, and I remember this, of the Arizona Diamondbacks. Remember the Diamondbacks? They were formed in their first year was 1997, and the next thing you know, 2001, they're the world champions. They gave out a lot of these huge contracts which were deferred, and it got the team into big financial trouble, a financial mess, in fact, that only was straightened out when the team was sold. I'll link to the story, by the way, in the notes. But baseball has got a big problem as it is. Baseball needs a salary cap in order to level the playing field. That's not going to happen because the Players Association does not want a salary cap. And to those who say, well, baseball needs a salary floor where a team has to pay a certain minimum of payroll for an entire season on the entire team, baseball doesn't want that. They don't want to have any kind of ceiling, any kind of floor. Baseball, meaning the Players Association, they want none of that. Baseball does. Baseball would like to bring a more level playing field. But if you're the Players Association, look at it from their perspective for just a moment. If you're the Players Association, why would you agree to a salary cap when you are seeing these deals being doled out? Juan Soto getting the contract he did. Max Fried getting the contract he did. I mean, Fried's a good pitcher. That's a nice contract he got from the Yankees. 8 years, $218 million. Max Fried at the age of 30, and he'll be 31 when the season starts. Do you really think Max Fried is going to be an effective pitcher at the age of 39? He might, but the odds aren't in his favor. But that is what the market is bearing now because you don't have a salary cap. And some people might say, well, that's great. That's the way it should be. That's the free market system. Well, that might be the free market system in the private sector, but you have to admit, sports is different. The NFL has a salary cap, so that if you're the Jacksonville Jaguars, you've got the chance to compete with one of the teams located in a big market. It doesn't matter which market you're in, but in baseball, it does matter. And here is another reason why the commissioner is concerned. Baseball has an issue with revenue streams. We don't know what's going to happen. These regional sports networks, they're concerned because the younger generation is cutting the cord. And so that's why you see all of these apps. But when you do the apps approach, watch the game on the apps. You're taking a chance because maybe some of these fans decide, you know what, we've cut the cord, but I don't want to pay so much a month or so much a year for the app to watch my team. I just don't want to do it. Either I can't afford it or I just don't have that kind of a disposable income in that area. I'd rather spend it on golf. I'd rather spend it on going out with my wife or my girlfriend or whomever, my significant other, whatever. The fact of the matter is, baseball knows that revenue stream, as the years wear on, is going to be more unpredictable. So you continue to dole out these salaries. Are you going to be able to pay them, or are there going to be more Arizona Diamondbacks in the future? That's a concern. And that's a big reason why the commissioner addressed this in the podcast with Chris O'Gorman. Can baseball continue to afford this? Can they continue to have a free market system with no salary cap, with deferred salaries that dance around the competitive balance tax, with no salary floor? Can they do that? No floor, no ceiling, no. This is a big issue, and the commissioner has a right to be concerned. Good for him to address it in the podcast, but talk is also cheap. And baseball, the owners and the Players Association need to sit down and have a serious conversation on what's going to happen. And I'll tell you what, you continue to defer these salaries, as the Dodgers have been adept at doing, as some of these other clubs. As I said, it's not just the Dodgers. The Mets have done it, not with Juan Soto, to their credit. There are no deferrals in Soto's contract. He gets the signing bonus, but no deferrals. But they've done it with other contracts. At some point, the chickens are going to come home to roost. Baseball has a problem. The commissioner knows the sport has a problem. What do they do to fix it? We'll find out. In the meantime, it's the status quo because the Players Association opposes this, and the agreement has another 2 years to run. That's going to do it for Dan on Sports. Thanks for listening. Thanks for subscribing. And be sure to subscribe to my newsletter, and you can do that by going to sportscasterdan.com.